Hello and welcome to Creativity with John Allen Third Live. I'm an expert creator, and today we're going to be working on modeling this thing up here. This is a photograph I found, like an illustration of a really cool, I guess, mech version of the Instagram logo. And so it's very much the robot, futuristic. I like the wear and tear on the edges. So today we're going to start off by modeling this thing inside a gravity sketch. So this is gravity sketch. You can illustrate stuff, you can do like little sketches and stuff like this, very fluid. It's like almost like you're doodling in space. But what's also really cool with gravity sketch is it gives you that ability to also do some like high precision work, some 3D modeling work that is really like kind of special and cutting edge. So, I'm just doing a little sketch right here just to kind of explain to you how friendly this tool can be. And this would be like a little fist over there, and then got another little doodle over there, got a little bit of an arm, and this could be like a fist with fingers, and then this is like its belly and its groin, and then it's got these like little leg shield things. You go back down, turn back into little feet. So, it's a great tool for creating 3D everything. And so I want to just kind of show you a little bit about it and talk about how I would go about making this thing up here from scratch. So first off, you're given a layer panel, and you can detach the layer panel if you always want to see it and have access to it, or you can keep it attached to your hand. And so right now I just have like my little sketches here. You can use your manipulator, your little thumb pad, to grab stuff and delete it. So I can, take my sketch and delete all this. You can move things around. It's very fluid. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So I'm going to start off by making a new layer. And I'm going to bring this reference artwork down into my field of view. All right, so I'm looking at the thing right there. And first thing we want to start off with is kind of like where our world center is. So in this case, you might be able to see these little green line and red line and blue line. These are the axes. And you want to design with these in mind because whatever direction it's facing on these coordinates is how it's going to appear in your other 3D modeling tools. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with just getting a reference human in here. And I'm just going to scale them 1:1. And the reason why we want to start off with a reference human like this is just so that we have the right scale in mind when we are working on our character. So I'm going to slide the human back here. And then on a new layer, I'm going to start my sketch. I'm just going to lock that human over there just so I know the scale of things. So that's about the size of a person. Actually, we could technically pose this. We could pose this person like that, which might be kind of helpful. I'll work on the camera first. So we're going to start off and grab one of these rectangular tools. They have a nice little section of primitive objects to start from. So I'm going to start off with this cube. And if we turn on grid snapping in our settings, so that is turned on grid. We can create perfectly boxy shapes like this. And then with a perfectly boxy shape, we can move things up and down and create that first bit of geometry that we need to start describing that shape. Okay. Next, I'm going to add some subdivisions. So it's going to look really smoothed out. It just smooths it out. And then if we now add some edge loops to different spots, we'll be able to kind of round the edges appropriately to mimic that of the Instagram logo here. I was adding a segment there, so I might need to unsnap it in a second. In fact, I'm just going to do that. Take the grid off and continue to add some lines. It's kind of looking like the front is the same. Looks like this is more of the front, even though I was trying to make this the front to face our character here. I'll periodically take a look at the feed here if you have questions or comments, but I'll just keep on keeping on. We should just block out our character first before doing the high detail stuff. So let's just do that. So that's usually how I work. So we got a couple interesting shapes. I'm gonna bring up the symmetry tool and make some art this way. A little bit easier just to work with like a symmetry tool like this. I'm going to turn back on grid snapping. We should focus. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of so many different ways to go about making the same thing. There isn't a right way or wrong way to use these tools. There's just a lot of different ways to use them. And that's something I have to remind myself as I'm working on these designs, is that there is not a right way to do it. Just a lot of different ways. Okay, that feels a lot better now, shape-wise. And now what we can do is other stuff. So we can take faces and delete them to create a little opening. And I can move these down to make like a little hole for the shutter. Making another little cut in right there so that we can ensure a little hole there as well. These bottom faces there. Right again here on this edge. This will be for a little arm opening. Cool. That one actually I'll wait for because the symmetry will need to be turned off to get that spot going properly. Make this a little bit more circular. we'll grab that circular tool, grab the whole ring. Okay. Say that's like our main element here. We have our kind of head of the mech, and now what we're going to do is make a lens, or lots of different shapes. But let's start off maybe with the ring that goes around here. So I'm going to go to a new layer to stay organized, and I'm going to rename this layer. We're going to call this the head of the robot. Make a new layer. Oh yeah, another trick, pro tip, is to always give each of your sections a different color ID. Just by going in there like this and just giving it a color. This is going to save you a lot of effort later on when everything, you need to separate everything back out again. If you have a different color for each section, it'll be a lot easier to do the UVs and stuff. All right, so now we're going to make the lens. So I'm going to make a new layer. We're going to call this lens. And we'll start off with a new tool. This one's the revolve tool. This thing lets you, if you turn on grid snapping, somehow, this lets you snap your grid to these perfect 90-degree increments. And with that, we can actually go in there and create a really nice shape. I could just lower it though. Looks like it's snapping. Man, that's pretty close to being in the center. I'll work with that for now. So just give it a couple taps here. So under the revolve brush, I like to go to this point mode. And this lets you get a lot of granular control. So you can start to click once, and you see as I move, see how it's snapping really closely in these little increments. So this can be pretty useful when you're trying to make some new kind of shape. Then we can go back over something like this and add more subdivisions on the edges to sharpen the transitions between those different contour shapes. Next, I'm going to jump off that grid, starting to get in the way. And then we can grab our object. I'm going to give it a different color for now, just so it's a little bit easier for me to paint. And then now we can, go in there and very much with a fine comb, create those exact edge loops and arcs that we would like to see in our lens. And keep in mind, if you want that hard chiseled edge, you just have to add more edge loops when they transition from one shape to the other. All right, next I'm going to move this down, make the wall a little bit thinner, which means we should move this one down and maybe push it all the way back there. And then I might actually just move all of these points in a little bit closer to make the lens a little bit shorter. Maybe we'll do that again. And stay true to different colors. I am gonna maybe just give it a slightly different shade. So we're just creating the outer lens first. That looks pretty good. Yeah, all right, so now we're going to, it'll be easier if I just give each one of these a unique color. I'll stay in the kind of reds and magentas, but just give it a slightly different. Actually, you know what? You might be able to just do white here. Okay. Cool. So now what? Now we have kind of a shape going on for us that resembles the camera. But I want to create that little, like on the piece here, it looks like this little ring right here. So we actually have a primitive object that might fit just for that, like it's called a Taurus. And if we go to our Taurus settings you can change that width and height at the same time. Oh, I think I have mirroring turned on. Let me go ahead and turn off mirroring. Make a nice little tortoise shape. So the height makes it a thicker or thinner pipe, and the width makes it just change the diameter. So let's do something like that. I'm going to place it right around the camera here. And then we can take that object and go to subdivide, and that will smooth it out. And then to place it really precisely, you can grab it, might give it a slightly darker color, and move it in and out of the object so we get it fitting pretty nicely around the camera there. That's pretty, oh, a little bit closer. Sometimes it helps just to get really large into the object and like manually push something a little bit, you know, because this kind of precision when you're working really helps with your models. I'm seeing a little bit of the camera leaking in right there, so I'm just going to pull those points down so that there's nothing interfering. Okay, cool. Next, we're going to bring in a sphere. So I'm going to grab a spherical object. Draw a sphere, and then place it in there. And then maybe rotate it around a little bit. I might want to turn on wireframe. It's kind of hard to see stuff without my wireframe on, so I'm going to go to my visual settings. They call it something different. What is it called? See the name. I'm not blanking out the name. They don't call it wireframe, do they? Maybe it's smart contours. Okay, yeah, it is. All right, so we got a sphere placed right here for the camera lens. And if we want it to be smoother, we click on it and do that same trick, we subdivide it. So with subdivisions on, it's a lot smoother. And if we want it to be shiny, we can change it to a different metallic material. We'll be doing texture painting later down the line, but it doesn't hurt to just start imagining your object with the right colors and stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at our layer panel here. And now in layers, we have all of our lenses right in this one spot, which is great. And we have our head of our character separate over here, which is also great. So now what we can do is we want to maybe grab the head again and make a little cutout here. Oh yeah, I need to turn off symmetry. And then this little spot here, I'm just going to, symmetry is still turned on, isn't it? I'm going to turn off mirror. Oh, turn back on mirror. Bake mirror. Okay, so now it's been baked. And move this side, yeah. So now that we can just move this one side, I can go in here and make a little cutout like this. And then we're going to push into that model to make a little crease, right, for the lens to go. And now we can just adjust these outer shapes to make sure that it feels like a circle still. So I might grab these 2 points and slide them down. And maybe grab this edge and slide this edge in. Grab this edge, slide it up. Grab this one, bring it down. It's starting to look a little wonky, so we might want to add another edge loop in there. Sometimes it starts to get kind of, your contour lines start to cross each other. And this can cause a little bit of weird geometry that's hard to work with. So I'm just going to add another loop cut there so it's a little bit sharper. Might turn off subdivisions for a second because I am having some trouble seeing. And that looks like a shape that should work. Just slide this to the side a little bit here. Turn back on subdivisions, smooth it out. Okay, that feels That feels better. I might just grab these two edges and just manually squash them in there. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is take that lens that we've already made. Oops. I'm going to lock the head layer so I don't accidentally grab it. And then grab all of this lens and duplicate it. And squeeze it down and place it in a fitting spot. There we go. And if we turn off, or if we grab all of this and turn on bake mirror, we can now delete one side. Oh no, it's not letting me delete one side. We might have to delete that side in a different program. I don't know why it's not letting me. There's bake mirror. There we go. There we go. All right. Cool. So the body of the character is done. At least you're not the body. The head of the character is done. I think this will work for my purposes. We might end up making the lens a little bit smaller at the end of the day, but you know, in terms of the raw shape, this is the correct language for me. Next, we're going to go grab that head layer and just lock our lenses in place. I go to the head layer and just kind of work on this arm a little bit, the arm opening. So I kind of just want it to be a little bit sharper. Getting into the joints there. Just a little bit sharper. And now we'll start working on the arms. So as you would probably guess, we want to do that on another layer so that it'll be nice and clean. So I'm going to lock the head, lock the lens. Those aren't going to be moved anymore. We're going to make a new layer, and we're going to call this layer arms. This has a lot of nice little components to it. We get this really cool curvature shape, and I'll show you a good way to make that. We have these like little circular bits, more kind of extruded rectangles that are rounded. It's like a really fun shape to work on. So to make the arm shoulder blades, I'm going to start off with a new tool. We're going to go into our primitives and start off with a plane, just a basic plane. I'm also going to give it a different color. So I'm just going to use this purple. Maybe not a non-reflective purple, like this clay material, and then make it a little bit darker. Okay. So what we're going to do to make that plane is really just like make it a U shape. So we go one right here, right? Then we bring that down and bring this down. Like that. Boom, you already have a bulk that shape. And then to get it curved like they have it, we go to that face extrusion and just do that. So we take a very simple shape, and now we already have like a lot of it already made. What's nice about using really simple shapes like these when you're modeling is they're easier to paint and they're also easier to animate. Now I want it to be a little bit more boxy on the bottom half. Oh, hey, what's up, Pug? Welcome. Yay, box stuff done. Box stuff. Box stuff. Oh, these things like the character. Right now we're working on making this Instagram robot. And then, knowing me, we'll probably make it like an AR filter or something. Making little shoulder cuffs. Middle of the cuff there. Some of them maybe pull up on this, pull up on that. Actually, I kind of like that coming down. And then maybe we'll grab this ring selection and pull the whole ring up This actually kind of brings it down. Too. So I'm going to grab all of them on this edge and just pull and tilt down and then maybe shrink it a bit. So you get a nice little curved armor thing going for us. And then what I'll also do is grab that loop selection on the inside and try to close it up as much as I can. Or you can just go inside and manually close it. Find the edges that are responsible for each of these points. And I'm just going to link all these points up together. Actually, I'm regretting that. I'll just link the bottom half because that's the part that's going to be pretty visible. But yes, that one will be noticed. But we don't need to connect stuff if it's really not going to be perceivable. So all of that was just to make this little arm shape here that you see going on like this. I think that looks close enough. All right, let's now we need to make whatever this thing is. Looks like a, I don't know, like a screw of some sort. So I'm first going to maybe round this off a little bit more. Twisting these as I'm pulling on them. Get a little bit more of a bracketed edge there. So that shoulder can live right there. All right, now let's create another shape. We're going to jump in. I'll probably make this still part of the same shoulder because I think this part of the body is going to move as one piece. So to do that, I'm going to grab the revolve brush and create a pretty square line like this. And with the revolve brush, it's really cool because you can like make these adaptive shapes really easily, very quickly. So we can kind of just press and go. And we can snap these together, maybe get rid of this point, snap that together, and maybe pull on this point a little bit, create a hard edge. These 2 points together. Then you can take it off that anchor point, and now we really do have that shape. For us, I make it a little bit thinner here. Maybe I want to make the edges of this a little more boxy as well. So simple trick to make an edge more boxy is we add edge loops. Adding edge loops does increase the number of polygons in your model, but it does help to sharpen edges when you want them sharpened. So it's still advisable to add polygons if it helps with your storytelling or the experience that you're trying to build. Make it a little bit flatter here. Cool. Maybe go a little bit more 90 degrees with it. Sweet. You can look if there's any questions or comments. All right, no questions, no problem. We'll continue on. Just making sure the feed is still going, the audio is still working. Okay, great. Let's continue. I'm going to make this outer edge here go a little bit further into the model, almost so that it's like hiding inside that shoulder cuff. Then we're going to make the under arm. So whatever this thing is, I don't really know what that is, but we're gonna make it now. Okay, so to make that shape, I mean, it's actually a rather complicated shape, but I think the best way to go about it is to start from a primitive, like an edge like this, and then just start kind of blocking in the core shapes that I'm seeing. So I think it kind of goes out in both directions like this, and then this side comes down, and this side comes down. Then as we turn, these two sides, these sides come over here, and we meet in the middle. And then it looks like at some point this polygon goes goodbye, and we connect the back of the arm, and then connect the back of the arm again, underarm, and then cut it there, bring this down. So I'm just kind of eyeballing the shapes that I think I'm seeing, and now I'm going to subdivide the shape. Then we'll work on those proportions. So I'm going to grab this and pull the sides a bit. Maybe subdivide one more time. Maybe pull this shape in a little bit sharper. And we'll pull in this shape as well, a little bit sharper. Great. And then I'm going to grab the edge loop and bring it together in there. And then let's see, is there any other edges that we can bring together? I just like to do little edges like this so that it gives the spot, it gives the geometry a place to hide when we can't see it, when it's out of our view. So this is that shape for the underarm. These robotic characters have really short arms now that I'm looking at them. It looks like this is a little bit more pointed, but I might leave that. Is there any edges up there that we might want to work with? A little too complicated. It's reconsider. Is this complicated? It's too much. It's off. Used a lot of points in the bottom here. That got really confusing for no good reason. Yeah, I did not need to model that so complicated. Like, but sometimes it's in those little discoveries that you learn a better way to do something. And had you not gone through the trouble making a new way for yourself. So I will embrace the learning process over just need to simplify the bottoms of these shapes and close off any geometry that was left hanging, like this one. I don't know what this belonged to. Oh, yeah, I don't see a home for this piece. I do not know what we did wrong with these shoulder arm pieces of our character right here, other than the fact that it was made way too complicated. But I don't really know why. Let's drop this section. Sorry about that. That was kind of a wasteful moment. What I'm going to do instead is start off from a simpler shape like this, and then just extrude out that arm shape that I want. And then we'll kind of make slices out of this piece. That way everything that is already connected can stay connected, and we don't have to reinvent stuff. So now I'm going to edit, get rid of these faces, and just connect the ones that really matter here. I think this is a problem. I didn't have a back face like that. Every piece needs a space to be connected. I can get to this, and hopefully get rid of this, and then connect these two together. Subdivide that. That looks a lot more accurate to the shape that I was going for from the beginning. And it looks a lot cleaner this way. Grab a loop. Yeah, that was the right way to do it. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that there. And now it's kind of like Legos. We really just need to assemble all of our shapes into things that we're happy with. But that's just Legos, you know? So I'll be working on the interior of the arm separately, but I do want to work on each like arm bit as its own little chunk here. So I probably need to imagine the arms being left straight out, unless we want the model at the end to be just a static pose. Let me just check some comments real quick. I got a message earlier. Taking a brief moment. Oh, this is an important message. Sign in my face. Whew. So where are we at? We have the upper arms kind of made, and we need to start getting to the lower arms as well. So I don't really know how this character is going to bend per se. If we want to do an automatic rigging test, or should we just do a manual rig? Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of split either way right now. Okay, I see how the arms connect. I'll keep the arms in like a relative T-pose for now. I don't know how that shoulder could bend unless this whole segment could bend as a group. Like around the joint there. That's probably the only way you can get a T-pose out of this character. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna rotate that section that way. That way when the arms come down, we'll have a nice little fold. We'll just have to be very cautious about how we weight map that section there. Okay, so arms are up there, and then that means these can come out straight across. So let's make that section as well. So I'm gonna start off with a cube. Big surprise. And then we're going to do the same thing we really did to the other one, which is kind of just block it out. So we got our main cube right here, and then we really need to break out a section for that curvature on the bottom. So that means we'll need a cut there and a cut there, and that might be enough to get away with cool shapes. So I'm gonna then just erase some of these chunks in here. Not trying to move these points there. Now let's connect these lines. Another fun thing that I like about Gravity Sketch is that, for someone like me who spends a lot of time sitting on a computer, having my arms up and kind of like walking around could be very useful for health, just to get motion into the day-to-day. Okay, cool. So that's actually pretty close to the shape. It looks like I might want to just sharpen the edges, which you now know we do by adding edge loops close to their endpoints. That's how we can, boxify shapes. Grab a loop selection here. Okay. I'm just adding a little bit of fun curvature shapes. Yeah, just for fun. Cool. Maybe I'll just grab this one, manually pull it down. Yeah, hollow it out. To some degree, not entirely, but just a little bit, so I can get a nice loop selection inside the arm, and then use that loop selection to drive some nice animation. Not animation, what am I talking about? We want to use that loop selection to create a nice curve in there. So I'm going to grab my loop tool and grab the edges and then just push them in. So we get a nice little spot for the light to break on. Cool. And it looks like this part of the arm is going to connect like here on the character, but it's really going to be bent like this. Yeah, so I just want to, you always want to keep in mind what the final motion is going to be when you're designing characters. because it'll make your life easier. All right, we're gonna do another box. This one's gonna be for the top of the hand here. Also realizing I need to rotate this 90, kind of make it a little bit smoother. And then we're gonna take this object, go to edit mode, and flatten some of these edges out. Smaller here. Subdivide this one. I want to give it a little bit more thickness now that it's been subdivided. And we also want to harden those edges by creating loop cuts around them, sharpen these edges. Joy of creating that curvature to them by, again, let's get this like the height of the knuckles. And it looks like it's a lot wider. So I'm going to grab all these edges here and slide them to the side. I'm going to grab my loop selection, grab this loop and pull this to the middle and bring it up so you get a nice curvature going on the knuckles, the knuckle guard. So that's going to be a good chunk of that is, it's going to be our arm, right? Those are like the armor bits of it. I'm also noticing that there's some, oh, actually, look at that. There's an underarm that I'm forgetting about. And it looks like it's like right in here. So what I'm going to do is first open up the bottom of the arm like this, grab that loop selection tool, and make a couple of segments as they bridge in. Yeah, that'll give us some cool shapes to play with later. So now we got those arms pretty much made. They're slightly different, maybe a little bit more simplified. But what we want to do next is make all the inner metal bits that are connecting all the ligaments of the arms together. And that's where this is going to get, a lot more complicated. So there's like little pipes and stuff going out, going throughout this thing, and wires and gears. We want to recreate those. So first off, we're going to make a new color texture. And I want this one to be reflective, but I also want it to be dark, just so that my brain knows that this kind of stuff is going to be used for the internal bits. And what we'll want to do first is create some of those tubes that I see in there, the little cylinders. So this is a really great brush for creating curves. So you see as I click, it locks it down, and it lets you create nice curves as you click, which I really like. So this could be a very, very useful tool for this. I'm going to make it a little bit more desaturated. It's actually just looking a little too shiny. Might go with a different shading style. Yeah, just something like a dark gray will do. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do with this dark gray is create some of the wires that we see on the arms. So again, we're still on the arms layer. Actually, I take it back. This one's going to be on the head layer. So I'm gonna go to the head layer, and I'm going to temporarily hide the arms. And then we're going to click onto our head layer, and I'm going to create some of that wiring that I was talking about by clicking and dragging kind of like a square shape to create this curve. And if you select it and choose loop you'll get a nice perfect curvature at the end. So what I want to do with these is kind of create that internal wiring. So just like that already looks kind of cool in there. And we can texture these differently to get more complexity out of the design. But my key goal here was just get to a point where it can like create some more complexity. So by creating these like coils, which we'll be painting later, we are creating more complexity inside the connecting bits of the robot, which I think are going to help bring it all to life. Now I'm just duplicating it and giving them slight rotations just to change some of the homogeneous structure, to give us some slightly unique designs in places. It's almost like we're coating the inside of a cave with little cylinder wire shapes. In this case, they're kind of like car parts. Okay, so I wanted that one to be part of the head layer since it is since this part of the character's body is going to move with the head of the robot. So that's that part. Great, let's bring the arms back, lock the head layer, and let's do the same thing but inside parts of the arm. So this one, we don't really see too much going on, but I think it might be cool just to create a little semblance of like a coil in there. I think it's still locked, but there it is. So we have this little, we're inside the arm right now, and we can just create little ligaments that connect things. We're not going to see this part in much detail, but just having it there is going to be useful for us. Right now I'm just playing with the darkness on some of these layers, but now I'm already regretting doing that because we're going to be doing texture painting later. I mean, just kind of get that out of my head right now. We're not painting yet, we're just modeling. The colors that we see here are just to kind of help. They should only be primarily here to help you just distinguish the difference between your shapes, but not so much the final result. So I'm going to take this like group of coiled wires, and I'm going to click on it and then hit the work button, and this groups them together. So now we can kind of use this as like a kit bash that we've made ourselves to attach different computer wiry parts of our model within the robot's arm together. Actually, now I'm remembering something, a pro tip I want to share. I found out that the end caps are very heavy on Sketch. So I'm going to remake this. So what am I talking about, end caps? What am I referring to? The end caps are the shape at the very end, how it turns like a little semi-sphere. I wish you could see a more detailed analysis of what that shape actually is, but it's a really complicated shape. So I'm going to turn off end caps just so that we're working with just a tube and nothing else. And then same idea, we're going to kind of place them as little connectors in between. And I actually want them to be angled slightly differently for each one, just to kind of give it some variety. Cool. Now I'm going to grab that new cluster. Wish you could change, wish you could do like a bulk selection mode. I don't think they have. I mean, I guess their selection mode is just to be more careful with their sphere. All right, so I got this shape here. Now I'm going to group that all together. And now you can place this grouped section into different parts of the model that need to have like ligaments, wires attaching to certain stuff. So just gonna put maybe one on the inside like this. In case we ever see into the arm, there should be something there. Cool. All right, so I'm going to keep copying those to other segments, like for example, the knuckles. I think could really benefit from a little tool like this. So I'm going to go to the wrist here and make some nice little wires. I'm going to ungroup these, get rid of the bottom ones. Again, group it again, and use this to attach the hand and possibly the fingers. Maybe we can do less to the fingers since there will be many fingers on this character, and this can get really heavy. So I'm just creating a little bit of space between the wire ligaments. And just we'll group that, and then we'll just make this the attachment from the different fingers here. So let's say I have like 3 fingers. I want to kind of intersect them a little bit to create some variety. Cool. Same idea with the lower arm here. I'm going to copy this section. Oops. Okay, there we go. And attach the arm together. So going underneath the arm here, place some of these here. Kind of places things together in there. So now let's get we got some more ligament looking things here on the top of the arm. I mean, I like to think of them as ligaments, but they're really just wires that we can use to connect different segments together. Just fun. Make rid of that section. Okay, so for this part, we're now going to jump into a different tool. And this one's going to be for these little, I guess looks like little actuators are kind of connecting them. They're like straight lines. I guess our elbow joint is going to be somewhere here. So I guess it's okay for us to connect straight lines from one side of this to the other. Yeah. And so I'm going to grab a cylinder tool. Make a little cylinder shape. Then at the top of the cylinder, just going to open it up. We call actuators. can use throughout the model. I'm just getting rid of the polygons that we don't see, which are like the bottom ones and the top ones. So this little metal actuator, we want to use this as like a car part almost to connect our elbow to our lower arm. So I'm going to use it exactly like that. So I'm just going to click into here a couple times, go at different heights, connect the arm as much as we can together. Got this one that's a little bit larger, coming in at a different angle. The other ones on purpose. So actuators are really useful to put into robotic design because they kind of give it like a better, it gives the viewer a better understanding of how the motion of a certain part should move. If they see little actuators, they can kind of anticipate how the motion of that section needs to go. And they're just, they're fun to play with. Anyway, so I'm going to copy this over here. Maybe we could put some actuators in the fingers, for example. This one. Let's work on the fingers. So I'm going to go back to that purple color, maybe start off by duplicating that shape, since this is pretty close to the look and feel of a finger in this case. And what we can do is just, I want to grab the whole thing and just shrink it all together, make it really short like that. Then grab the line tool, loop line, and grab the whole loop there. Grab this and bring it down. Grab this and bring it down. Then grab the whole bottom. Section as well. Now we kind of have, actually we should probably round it off on the bottom. Finger. So I don't know how their finger segments are divided, but I'm going to guess it's going to be these little chunks of this. And this is kind of like the bottom of the finger here. Just to help with the UV unwrapping, which will be a later process, I'm going to delete the openings that are going to be invisible. You want to get into that habit of doing that for your more complicated models, because if we kept that, it might work. It might work fine, but it will start to create new problems for you that you may not have had otherwise. Like later down the line, you'll find little areas that struggle to clean up in the UV maps, and it's usually the ones that were hidden, but you decide to keep them anyway. Here, I'm just kind of simplifying the finger geometry here. Bring them together. Finger there. I mean, it's the first knuckle. Yeah, I guess it's just the first knuckle. So you can probably get rid of that business front there. And yeah, I can get rid of that. And create a nice little 90-degree that spot there. So this will be my whole finger geometry. And I'm going to use these little actuators to connect them in between. Maybe I'll make it a little bit shorter. Here, do it. I think that was with the cylinder. That we want the finger for the character. I'm going to group all of this. Cool. Oh, we got a question. Oh, hey, what's up, Buna? Welcome. Share the link on Twitter and Instagram, and others get notified. Oh my goodness! Thank you for reminding me to do that. I always forget to share this on Twitter. Let me do that right now. Sharing to Twitter, tweeting. All right, that is shared on Twitter. And then once something's shared on Twitter, it's easy to make an Instagram post with it. So let me go to Instagram real quick, or no, go to Twitter real quick, and then forward it somehow. Thank you for reminding me to do that, Boone. I appreciate it. For those of you just joined, we're working on turning this robot illustration of Instagram into an actual mech. Oh, things turned off. Put that back on. Okay, we're back. Let me go to my profile on Twitter, and I'll share this to Instagram stories. Okay, it's shared. Thank you so much, Buna. I don't know how long ago you said that, but I appreciate it if you're still here. Okay, so what we have going for us is we've gotten this far. Working on simplifying some things in there. We just added some fingers. We made like a hand kind of business. It's a relatively small hand. I might want to grab all of this and just lower it. lower body, I think. Yeah. Actually, I need to go back to the head layer real quick. So we're gonna lock the arms. Actually, we should save. It's been a while since we saved. Call this robot mech Instagram. Cool. And continuing on. So I'm gonna go back to the head layer. And I wanted just to put a little bit of a ball here. So just a ball. Something to rotate around that's simple in form. Like a ball. It'll be easier for me to rig this if there's just like a ball joint right there instead of something else. Just angling it out there, placing a ball, and that way when things need to orbit around, they can orbit around the ball when we get to the rigging phases. Okay, so with that same kind of premise in mind, we need to do the underbody and the groin. So let's reuse stuff that we already have if possible. So I'm going to go underneath the robot now. I found this belly button thing. So the belly button thing looks like it's a cylinder. So we'll start off from a cylinder shape and just draw that out. Oh, we have mirroring turned on. We'll go ahead and turn off mirroring. Right, so we got this nice cylinder. Then we're going to open it up, go to our loop selection mode, get rid of that middle section. And with the loop selector, we can kind of just taper it in here. Actually, looks like it kind of went up in a different angle there. Maybe I'll just connect these. Oh, it doesn't like that. It's not like Cinema 4D. Okay. All right, better shape. Let's just use the revolve brush since that doesn't suffer this problem. And we just click and click and escape. And then we just bring this to the middle. And then to sharpen the line, we add a loop. Bring that loop closer to an edge. Same idea on the bottom there. So we have this thing. I'm going to go ahead and place that on the belly button or the belly. Cool. Let's next make that piece underneath the belly. That one's going to be easier to do. Well, actually, we should be wiser and make a new layer for this. So I'm going to make a new layer and call this torso. And on the torso layer, we're going to grab what was on the head layer and move it to the torso layer. Then I'm going to lock the head layer so I don't actually bump into it. And so now we're on the torso. We can go ahead. I'm just going to make a little belly there. And torso layer. All right. And now we're going to grab a regular old, what do we call this? A plane, regular old plane. And with the regular plane selected, we're going to go to our settings, turn on mirroring, and we're going to create that little bottom part of the character, the groin section. I don't know which way the normals are facing, so I'll just try my luck here. And if we go to, we stack it actually with accent. Connect these together, and then push this up. Tilt that up. Subdivisions. Great. Grab this loop selection. Get a cut line there. Arm layer now. And I'm going to make a copy of the arm here. There. Now with this copy, I'm going to move this down under torso to a new category called legs. Move this onto the legs layer. Give us a good shape to start from. We'll of course be modifying it, but just going to start off with what we already have. Then, yeah, that seems fine. Just go into here, start editing it, turning this one into more of a open section. Interesting. the kneecaps. This will be for this to the legs layer as well. It's to be used as a starting point for the ankles. So it looks like it has the same kind of ankle shape inside and outside. So that's the bottom of the foot, and then we can take part of the hand and use this for bridge legs as well. Eight. Back further. We got some questions. Oh, thank you, Ibrahim. For getting me set up here. Scram feed. Okay. I'm going to make some modifications to this. First one being, if I could just grab just the edges there to make it a little more curved. Have the loop selection tool. So as you can see, a lot of stuff can be reused or thrown away. That example. I think it might just be a little bit easier for me to make the back of the heel here this way. That's at power low. Please plug in. Okay, let's see. Might need to plug a wire in here. Power. Sorry about that. Power went down for a second. I'll have to bring stuff over towards me back here then. Our reference layer. This image will look closer to me. Let's see what I'm working on. Cool. Yeah, we're doing fine on time. So one thing I wanted to talk about was just acknowledging that I'm purposely putting this character into what's called a T-pose instead of that exact shape, because a T-pose is going to allow us flexibility to pose this character however we like, which we want. I want to have flexibility with what this design can be used for, and if we decided it was the right decision to make it only work in one way, being like so I'm having trouble thinking. If it was the goal, make this only work in a single pose, then I would do that. But my goal is to kind of have that flexibility of design, so that we can come at this a different day, different framework, and still have certain motions I find are a little bit easier to do. Very precise movement might be a little easier talking, achieve that precise. So just kind of tapering these in here a bit more. And I'm going to duplicate shape, use as the front toes. Right. When you're designing for 3D, VR, and AR, you do want to make it a habit to be conscious about your file size and what you're going to be asking somebody to download. So if I can duplicate some geometry in here, it's going to be a lot less memory. It's going to be a lot less of a memory hog and download hog. Somebody else is going to be trying this experience out at a later time. Okay, sweet. Now what I'm going to do is grab my actuators from the arms layer and move those down to the legs. So I'm going to lock the torso, go to the arms layer. I'm going to grab these actuators I really liked. I'm just going to copy them over here. And then I also really liked these sets of 3. All those are all linked. Actually, maybe we can use parts of that. I'm going to put that, and then I like this piece. Again, just like reusing things. Kit bashing. Kit bashing is the process of making a toolkit and reusing it for places. So I'm going to grab all these things and push them onto my legs layer. Next, try it again. So now these are part of the legs layer, and I might keep them the same color for now for texturing reasons, although we will be changing them up later on. Okay, so with these things, I will change the color of this one to be that gray. And we're going to use this on like the heel. Yeah, to help give that good rotations and stuff. Great. And then for the actuators, we'll use these inside of this part. We need to find a way to connect these legs. So it looks like the legs are a lot more forward than I think they are. It's just that if I make them too far forward, the software that I like to use called Mixamo, which is great for auto rigging, it will start to struggle if you give it a form that's too far off from being a human. Like they want to encourage people to use it in a lot of different ways, but just in my experience, I found that if it deviates too far off from a human, it won't rig, and that can get kind of annoying. All right, so I'm just going to put these actuators in here in some kind of nonsensical kind of way. A mechanical engineer is probably looking at this and being like, no, that is not how the movement would work. But I'm going at this more of like a artist approach to designing a robot. And I'm okay with frustrating some mechanical engineers. It's actually quite fun. It feels like designing robots, except it's not really, but it's like it's kind of fun. It feels like I'm just playing with Legos at this point. Once you start getting out of that, once you start getting off of your own restrictions on design, and you get to this little kind of playful space where you can start just creating without constraints. That's a really fun spot to get into. For me, what helps get there is using reference artwork, like the one I have today, and kind of just being a little bit artsy with the knee choices here. Don't know if you would need that many actuators to hold on the kneecaps. Okay, let's do the same thing with these mechanical parts in the torso. So I'm going to lock the arms and legs, open up the torso. Actually, I'll unlock the legs, and I'll grab these, make a copy of that. So grab this as my tool set, and I want to bring these into the torso layer now. Lock the legs, and now we're going to the torso. So the torso's got a lot of moving parts. I think we'll just kind of fill it. I think we'll just kind of fill it up with different scaled actuators. There is a freedom associated with designing with Gravity Sketch that is really different than designing other 3D modeling tools. If you have the opportunity or the ability to get your hands on a VR headset, I would highly recommend getting one, just if it meant you got time to play with and experiment with Gravity Sketch. This program alone is worth the cost, in my opinion. It's just a very, very, very fantastical tool, very capable tool, and it's very fun to design with. Okay, so now with this like little finger shape, I'm not sure if I'm going to use that. Instead, I might want to go with those little wired bits in the arm earlier. So I'm going to unlock the arm and make a copy of that little pipe segment thing. Oops. And then I'm going to move these objects into the torso layer. I'll recolor this one yellow. Recolor this with that gray. Which I don't know. No, I won't make yellow. I'll make that gray as well. So I'm going to use this as a mechanical part now. And we'll go in and just add some more little mechanical bits to justify all the weird shapes going up here. This is kind of the fun of designing with these tools. Is again, it's just like that freedom you get to design whatever you're thinking. There is going to be a space for it. And again, we're reusing a lot of the same shapes now, mostly for performance reasons, but also it's fast. It's fast, and the software is forgiving. You know, so you're not punished for experimenting. Like if I wanted to create like a little duplicated shape like this, I could then take this and group it, and now this becomes like a little gizmo that I could use in other places. So I might take this down to the ankle here, use it there, maybe bring it together, use it there, and another one here. Slide that in. Yeah, no. Ooh, seeing a little bit of a performance hit now. Performance hit comes from maybe starting in a little heavy, Polygon wise. So let me just take a look at comments real quick, see if there's any questions coming in. Hello. Let's see. This is a fight on Twitter space, Apple versus Facebook AR/VR on Twitter. Yeah, that is an ongoing battle for sure. Cool. Back into VR. Okay. So this is looking pretty sweet. I really like where this is at. I might want to just fill in a couple more blanks with some more stuff like the torso, I think needs to be filled up, but it's pretty much where I would like it to be at. Oh, it looks like we just mixed up some of the objects, like the torso, with the legs. Let me hide the legs for a second. Ah, yeah, we mixed all that stuff up. Okay, so these are supposed to be part of the legs. So I'm just going to. Oh yeah, another way you can help the memory out on your device is to hide layers. Then you'll see there's less latency when you move your head around. So I'm going to move. Looks like all of this stuff. And move this to the legs layer. So I'm going to grab my sphere of influence and push this onto the legs layer. Okay, that looks correct. And then we'll get rid of this stuff on the legs. I'm going to use that. So bring back our arms. Get rid of the stuff that we're not using. Sweet spot. I'm not done, but I'm getting kind of close to being satisfied with the overall look and feel of this thing. So what I want to do now is move my arms and torso up. Sorry, I want to move my legs and torso up. So I'm going to grab both. Just move them upwards a bit. Sweet. And then let's turn on the arms. Okay, great. Last thing I want to do to kind of wrap this up is on the torso layer. Actually, that's looking okay. I was just debating on adding like a sphere in the center. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, actually, I'll keep that there. I kind of like having a little disc segment in there. Okay. Great. What else? Oh, I see there's like a little cool pipe thing. Some like custom pipe animate or sculpture that's in there. So let me grab that torso again, unlock the legs, hide the lens, the head, and the arms. So we're just kind of getting a little bit better performance on there. Oh, but I do need to see the head layer still. So turn on the head and the torso. And then on the torso, we're just going to jump in with the stroke brush and create some custom little whatever these are. So I'm just going to have them periodically. Turn off symmetry mode so we can get full asymmetry back into the design. That's something I do struggle with is knowing when's the right time to add asymmetry. You know, not every design needs to be symmetrical. tweets. You can see a back of the design of this character, but I think I'm really happy with the way this came out. What do you think? Is this looking good? Good enough to move into the next phases? Paint it, bring it to life. I'm just gonna save what we have real quick in case something breaks. Okay. I like it. I'm gonna delete this reference human. Warning, cannot undo this. So I'm ready to take this out of Gravity Sketch and start painting this with Substance Painter in 3D. It'll look really sweet. Really sweet. And then we'll start rigging it and animating it. I'll probably end up doing my own custom animation by hand, since mechanical parts don't usually play that nicely when they aren't binded really nicely to all your stuff. And I might end up combining the torso and the head as one layer after seeing it kind of right now. But I'm like, oh, actually, there's something I'm missing. No, I'll be able to paint that. Never mind, that's a paint layer. Okay, I'm gonna export this as I'm gonna export it. So we're gonna go to our save, export, OBJ, keep centimeters. I'll recenter it into my scene. 220 centimeters by 350 centimeters tall. Not bad, not bad. I don't think we need the reference. Oh, I'll keep it there, whatever. And then up axis, we'll make it be the Y. Okay. And same on cloud. Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and export this one. This is version 1. Please stand by. All right, upload success. And then I'll just export one more for fun. The FBX beta version, which is really nice when it works. It doesn't always work though, but I might as well just try it while we're at it. And we just take a look if there's any questions that have come up. Woo. All right, thank you so much. Woo! VR, one of the parts of XR. All right, I think we can now try to check the time. Let's see. I need to send an invoice. Okay, well, next phase is going to be working inside of Substance Painter. So let me just get situated on here. And I'll just change this to image capture, display capture. Display capture, there it is. Display 1. All right, so we'll just minimize that. All right, cool. So the next phase of all of this stuff is, let me hide some things for privacy. Let me put that over here. So Gravity Sketch syncs up with this thing called launch pad or landing pad. It's a file. So you go to files, landing. Okay, it's landing pad. And anything you export can be saved here. So if I go to my recents, we can see my robot mech design. We have one that says zip, and we have another one that looks like, is this an FBX? Oh, it's a zip as well. So I'm just going to click on that and then hit download. And that will bring it into our space. And I'm going to grab a chair and we'll proceed from there. Greetings. Now that my hair's long, it's going to get all messed up after playing in VR for a while. That's good. Okay, show in folder, extract files. I'm going to extract this in a different spot, again for privacy. One moment, please stand by. Go to extract files, and then I'll choose the location. All right, make a new folder. Cool. It is extracted. Now we just got to find it. Okay, here it is. So let's take a look and see if we can even open up the OBJ in the built-in previewer right here inside of Windows. And it looks great. One thing you'll notice though is that nothing looks smooth per se. Everything looks really kind of blocky. The blockiness that you're seeing is the result of subdivisions not being registered across platform. Luckily for us, we can do our subdivisions inside of Cinema 4D, which is what I'll do next. Let me resize my screen here. There we go. And then I'll shrink this down. Troubles my display there. Oh, I could use the green screen. I don't want to set that, or it's hard to set up. Let's see if I moved this here. Mostly on the green screen. We'll just leave the green screen for now. I don't want to set that up. I will just crop it down here. All right, we're back. So the next thing is I'm going to get this light a little bit brighter here. Cool. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is open up Cinema 4D. And bring that into the scene here. Now that our model has Oculus Quest 2 using Gravity Sketch, I like to bring that model into Cinema 4D. So I just jump in, grab it, and drag it in. We hit OK, and here is our model. Yay! And I love it. Looks like some of the stuff worked. But yeah, let's take a look at just the overall polygon count. Not bad. This thing is just under 130,000 polygons. I'm still going to reduce it later or soon, but I just wanted to get that idea across early. Another thing I noticed is that it seems to have separated it all based off its color like this. Sorry, it didn't separate it all. I just put these different selectors. I actually don't like working that way. So I'm going to delete this and re-import that OBJ. And this time we're going to choose splitting by material. This is the hack you want to do if you're modeling in Gravity Sketch and you want to save a lot of time. Because what this does is it puts each one of the colors becomes its own layer, which allows you to animate stuff more freely. When you rig things together, you'll need to bind it back together. But since we're not rigging yet, we're still, we're still modeling to some degree. I like to just have things separated like this. I'm gonna go to my displays and turn on line shading so I can see what's going on. And now you can kind of study by layer how heavy or thick the model is. So like, for example, all these pipes not bad. That's about 60,000 polygons. 42,000 polygons for, what is this? Oh, these things. Yeah, we'll definitely need to reduce that. That's way too much detail for something so small. That's looking great. 600 polygons. Sweet. And then these ones look like they're all backwards. Oh no, they're not. It's just purple. And that one's around about 13,000 polygons. Not bad. And then this awful thing that's like 14,000 polygons. And then skeleton. This skeleton here? Oh, our reference image. That's actually kind of cool. It came with it. I'll put it back there for my reference. Okay, cool. So, oh wow, thank you so much, Buna. I appreciate that. All right, so the next phase is going to be to get it to look kind of smoothed out like that, because I did like the smoothing out. You know, if you're working on a really weak computer, it's great to just work in the low poly mode. Low poly is standing for low number of polygons. But yeah, let's just dive right in. Now, first off, I see some areas that that need some heavy optimization, and those include these, like this revolve tool. Anything that you make with the revolve tool, unfortunately, is going to be kind of poorly made. It doesn't optimize very well. So what I'll do is try to grab just those objects somehow. And I'm going to go to subdivide. And I'll kind of just do this layer by layer to stay organized. So I'm going to start off with these arms. I'm going to subdivide them. And then right off the bat, we've got that right amount of smoothness that I was hoping for. And showing you before and after, right? Very big differences can be seen when we subdivide our model. Now, this might be a little too heavy to subdivide twice, so I think even just a subdivision of 1 is going to be, is going to suffice. Yeah, because that still feels pretty smooth. I mean, maybe we can go subdivide 2. It's just that same idea. You want to keep your models pretty light, but you see how this part's still kind of janky? This is giving the whole model, 13,000. Oh, actually, a lot more now that we subdivided. So what I'm going to do is convert this to an object. And now you see that's like 41,000 polygons, and it's mostly from those shoulder pieces. So I bought this not free. It's a $100 plugin that I highly recommend for Blender, Houdini, 3ds Max, Maya. They can all use it. And it's an extension called the Quad Remesher version 1.2. It works as an extension. And what it does is it helps you retopologize your models very quickly. So with just a click of a button, it took what was once 42,000 polygons and made it a nice 7,000 polygons. And it also reduces the number of polygons significantly, which is going to help with UV mapping. It's going to help with memory. So I love that. Whoa, something really weird happened over here, though. It looks like, I don't know exactly what happened, but it looks like it doesn't like these out. It doesn't like this part so much. It split everything into its own weird group. I don't know what that was about. So let me try this again. I'm gonna go to extensions, quad. Actually, was it already like this? Oh yeah, it is. So these are already, no, these are all connected. Huh, I don't know why I split it that. Let's try it again. Redshift, extensions, quad remesher, detect hard edges. That all looks good to me. I'll do symmetry. Why not? Let's try it again. Oh goodness. Bad call. Let's uncheck that box. Let me change the adaptive size to 100%. Okay, so I'm getting the feeling that we're going to have to just delete this. I don't like the way that, I don't know, it's not registering very nicely. So what I'm gonna do is grab a large selection brush like this, and then do the shortcut UY a bunch of times until we're grabbing most of the model. Tricky thing with this is this is not a clean way of working. So I'm going to solo out everything so that we're only seeing just that stuff. I'm going to go to try to grab a top-down view and see if we can isolate all of this nonsense. This is all very heavy and poorly optimized. I just want to delete all of it. I always forget that you have to really work the settings of the Revolve tool before you export it out of Gravity Sketch. Otherwise, it's almost always heavy like this. But that's not a problem. So let me unsolo. We'll just make it right now. So I'm just going to go in with a oil tank. Place it there. And then under the oil tank, we can go to some settings. Actually, kind of like the settings that are on it already. Cool. And then we're going to bake it down. I'm going to get rid of the lower half of it since we really don't need that. And we can just shrink it down, place it over the arm cuff. And then to get it on the other side, but when we really clean, we can use the symmetry tool. And then we bake down all three of these together. Cool, so now it's placed. And then I'll give it the same purple material so that I know to shade it later. All right, cool, arms fixed. Let's save that. I just like to save my work as I'm going here. Try Polygon reduction first. Oh yeah, in the past I would have done exactly that, Buna. I'd actually still recommend that, of doing a Polygon reduction first before running the quad remesher. That will definitely fix that problem. I just had forgotten about it. We're on to the next segment that could use some attention. Again, this area, these polygons aren't so heavy, but it's still kind of a lot. So I'm going to go to take your advice, Buna, and we're going to go to the Polygon reduction tool built inside of Cinema 4D. And we want to maybe play with that slider. Doesn't like my approach to doing this. Getting some mixed results here. Okay, I just reduced it a little bit then. And then we'll do connect objects and delete. I'm going to flip the normals so that the outsides are facing orange. And then what we can do from here is run it through the quad remesher. So I'll go to extensions, quad remesher. Let's see if we can get this under 5,000. Looks like a lot more than 5,000. Looks like 32,000. I don't know what that's about. Let's try that again. Extensions, quad remesher. I'm going to change something. The other option too, when I really don't like the way these are coming out, is I use the volume builder tool. So Volume Builder just totally destroys the geometry, but it helps rebuild it. So I threw it through a Volume Builder, and then we take that Volume Builder and run it through a Volume Mesher. And this is a cheap way of getting back a lot of your details. So I'm reducing the voxel size to get a little bit more resolution. And then we go to our volume mesher and play with that slider. And this is actually new, completely new geometry. It's not using any of the old stuff. And again, the only reason why I would want to do this is when it's really misbehaving. Wow, this is a lot more dense, but they're at least all connected. And that's actually too dense. I'm going to make it not so insane like that. I'm going to go maybe 0.7. And if I'm still having bad results, I'll just remodel both of them. All right, so let's just take this whole thing, this whole system array, connect objects and delete. Take that new thing, go to extensions, quad remesher, remesh it. Perfect. Much, much better. Well, I think I accidentally undid it. I did undo it. Okay, my bad. Let me redo it. Quad remesher, remesh. Cool. Much cleaner geometry, and then we'll apply that standard white material to it as well. Cool. So we're just kind of optimizing things, going bit by bit, optimizing our model. It looks like the UVs are flipped on that one as well. Make sure that's the only part selected. And then we'll flip it. All right, and same idea. I'm going to subdivide this one. Great, that one looks clean. Now we'll work our way up to this piece, add another subdivision object. Subdivision, here we go. And then we'll grab our Instagram shape there, subdivide that. Now, I like the smoothness of this, but the way that these polygons are being shaped is going to cause problems later on if I want something very precise to be painted on there. So I'm still going to run it through a quad remesher. Just because it could benefit from it. Just trying to flatten this out. Okay. So I'm going to grab this object, connect objects, and delete. And then we'll run this through a quad remesher as well. Right now it's sitting around 2,700 polygons. We'll try to keep it around there. Let's do let's try 2,000 and then remesh it. That actually works for me. Yeah. I'll work with that. And give it that same color fill for now. Save our project in case something crashes. Working our way down the model. We have our reference image. I'll get rid of the reference image for now. Don't really need that layer anymore. Next we have our lens. I might smooth it out a little bit. So let's add a little smoother subdivision. Smooth out that lens, make it really crispy. I also might do like a pancake effect to it, where a lot of lenses aren't like perfect cylinders; they're more like a pancake. You know what I mean? They're rounded, but they're more like a lens shape. And also, I feel like the lens wouldn't be as sunken in there. Pancake. Cool. Connect objects and delete. We got our lenses. And then all this stuff. This is a lot. This is 66,000 polygons. We have a lot of different geometry. Some of it's already optimized pretty well, and others are not, like all these tubes. I wish I had chosen low poly mode for those. So for these, let me go to solo mode for a second. So here's all the mechanical parts. I only really need to do that subdivision stuff or the cleanup on these kind of chunky pieces. So I'll just go through and select all of them, just the chunky ones. Actually, there might be an easier way to do this. What if we go from a top-down view? No, it's still kind of hard to grab them. I see all of them have these caps that I don't really like. What if we grab all of my, there's less to click on these ones. These are the clean ones that don't need to be reworked. I want to keep these ones as they are. So I'm just going to select the ones that I don't want to interfere. And I'll just do an inverse selection to grab the ones that I do want to change. Those look fine. What I'll do is I'm going to move these onto a separate layer. Won't deleting the unwanted edges work for the middle cylindrical part, like just keeping the curved bit and delete it, the whole middle section of the edges? I don't think I fully understand. Scott, won't deleting the unwanted edges? I think that would work as well. I might be getting it mixed up in my head though, but what you're describing makes sense to me. Okay, so with just these segments in here, I'm just going to copy these, delete them. Oh, we missed a couple. I'm going to copy these, delete them, and then paste them onto a separate layer. And then we can go back to this previous layer. And then I'll run the UV stuff on the upper half of here. So I'm going to grab my marquee selection, go to lasso, and I'm just going to create a lasso around the top half of all this stuff. Since the legs are pretty well optimized already. And I'm going to delete this, paste on its own layer, and now just this section is going to get the treatment of the extensions quad remesher. Nice, super lightweight. I still see that weird thing it does. It did it again with the cylinder parts. I'm not sure if you can see it exactly here, but it's separating it into like hundreds of different separate polygons for some reason. I'm not sure why it's preferring to do that. But it is. Yeah, it's like Yeah, it separated all this into separate pieces. All right, we'll just remodel that section again. Or I'll go solo mode for a second. Oh, we already are in solo. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. It's like these are all connected, but the lateral ones are not connected. And due to their overlapping shape, I can't exactly grab the geometry. I'm just live streaming and 3D modeling right now. Period. What are you up to? Question mark. Yeah, I got to get rid of these weird, complex shapes. Yeah, see, look, it did at the ends of all these shapes as well. It's just kind of a mess of a polygon. So I'll just go in here and just manually grab stuff. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit lazy here. I'm gonna go to an orthographic side view and just try to bulk clean up some of these problem areas by just deleting them. Mostly because I just don't want to deal with them. Okay. I'm gonna copy that piece that we did on the shoulders when we were trying to solve. Let me come help. Do you have the truck? Question mark. All right, I think I'm gonna head out. We might have to reconvene different time, maybe later today or something. I need to. I moved into a new place. This is actually the first live stream I've done from a new location. I moved into a new spot in LA with Keenan, and we're still moving stuff. So I'm gonna go help move some things right now. But thank you all for tuning in, and yeah, we'll share more. We got more stuff coming, and yeah, that's it for now. Oh wait, it's debating. I don't have the track. I don't think I need. Oh, okay. Either way, I gotta go. Bye, everybody. Bye, Preska. Bye, Buna. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. See ya.